It is Sipping with Sue time. I am Szu-Moy Tovez, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, chatting with real people doing real things extraordinarily. And if you haven't gone over to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell to get all the latest content as soon as it is uploaded. So today or tonight, depending on part of the world you're in, we are celebrating how far we have come in establishing that love is love, but also recognizing that there is still so much more that needs to be done. So I want to welcome my very amazing and long time, like way back in the day, friend Tim Brewster. Cheers. How are you, my friend?
Just you too. It is great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do. And I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I love it. I am good. I'm good. I'm sipping on this amazing, as I was telling you earlier, it's a rose and blood orange tea. So it's probably the fanciest iced tea you've ever seen. I took pride in this one. What are you drinking?
Well, right now I'm sipping out of my glass that a friend of mine sent to me as a retirement gift. I'm sipping on some
Happy retirement again. Woo, woo.
4th June. I am officially a civilian. But I am
Yay.
sipping on some tequila, reposado. All right. So,
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, when in Texas, why not? Tequila.
very true.
Absolutely awesome. So we're just going to get right into it and start rolling. So, can you give us a little bit of background on yourself so that folks can get acquainted with you?
Sure. So we'll start off by saying that, again, my name is Timothy Brewster, recently retired, as mentioned earlier, as of 1 June. I joined the military at 18 years old, May 1997. I have been in for 26 long but wonderful, magnificent years. Just
Mhm.
recently, like I say, retired, had my retirement dinner, not ceremony, in March. And
We won't talk about that. That's fine. It was a
Ooh, that was
beautiful
an
dinner.
awesome night. And of course, my awesome friend right here was able to make it. I thank you again for that. I do not take that lightly. I know you had your own time, your own schedules, and coming out to support me means the world. But yes, I am recently retired, enjoying life. And hey, civilian, ready for what the world and the new challenges of civilian life has to offer. My,
Awesome.
my
So,
background, material management, aka supply. Sorry.
yeah, so nobody flies without supply. So that was where our grassroots started. So Tim and I, well, this is my second duty station. So I met Tim back in, yes, well, when did I get to Yokota?
Before
Oh my
me,
gosh,
I got there
96.
September 97. You got
Yes, so 96. I got there in 96. And so I was in Tokyo, Japan at Yokota Air Base. And that's where I met Tim, a young airman basic. Was you airman basic or airman first class?
I came
Airman?
from a basic, so yes, you met me
Mhm.
from a basic. No stripes.
No stripes. Oh, so baby airman, so cute. Yeah, we had a long time. That was a long time ago. So that's 97 to today is a long, long time. So
Mm,
um yeah, really long and a wonderful military career. But some of the things that we didn't like about being in the military, one of them was don't ask, don't tell. And that's the topic of conversation today. And there's probably nothing more near and dear to your heart. So, can you explain a little bit about that policy that the DoD enlisted of don't ask and don't tell that started with the Clinton administration and then finally was, and thankfully, was repealed in 2011?
sure. Well, one of the things with me coming in 97, don't ask, don't tell was already a policy that has been established. From what I remember, it was established by the Bill Clinton administration in
Mhm.
93, I believe it was. So, it was more like a compromise to allowing quote unquote allowing individuals of obviously attracted to the same sex in the military, just as long as they don't tell and don't ask. But however, that still didn't work out for many individuals because many individuals still under that policy still got forced out while not being asked, or should I say, while not telling, should I say. But I can't necessarily speak on behalf of their stories, but it wasn't a very effective sex or supportive policy in support of those that are in the community, should I say. Although that once upon a time they thought they was compromised to do something, but it really didn't work out in favor. Now, when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed in September of 2011, I remember that so gracefully,
Mhm.
then there was more open arms to allowing us to truly be who we are without any repercussions, should I say.
Repercussions and stigma, I'm sure. I mean, how did that and so you had a bulk of that time. It's quite a bit of years while you were in the military dealing with that. So how did it affect you?
Tremendously. Honestly, it impacted me so much that I borderline, I want to say maybe I'm crossing over the border, is actually pretty much not even recognizing myself
Mhm.
because of the fact that I know that obviously, yes, and I own all day long. I raised my right hand coming into an institution knowing that that policy was implemented. I knew that, but I still knew that I could do the goodness in whatever career field that was given to me that I was awarded just as next as the person on my left and my right. And I did. And I came in, I did that, and I respected, didn't like it, but I respected the policy. I did. As you can see, never had a situation that came upon me. But just to even furthermore go into the details of your question, let's go all the way back to like obviously in the policy being within and doing these CBTs. There was a CBT annually that was called the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Reminder of a computer-based training. Forgive me if my acronyms from my audiences out there. Computer-based training. It was an annual thing that we had to get behind a computer to do to make that they were doing to try to make sure that don't forget that this policy is still there, and these are all the rules and the regulations that you must abide by. So to make sure that you still are, basically honoring what they're saying for you to do. But with that being done every year for me, it was like a slap in the face.
Mhm.
Every year, a slap in the face, reminding me that I cannot be who I know that I was born to be. And it was hard, it really was, and especially just reminding me of the many times coming in after weekends during the policy, and of course, in any job environment, whether it's military or civilian, when you come in, you're chit chatting with your coworkers, and they're going over the weekend. This is what I did. This is what I did. This is why I
Mhm.
did that way. This is what I did. And my answer that I went with all the time was, "Oh, I just relaxed. I just chilled." Sometimes that was true, and sometimes it was not because either I like as if I had a date or somebody I was talking to, right? But I couldn't talk about that. So it got to the point that I said that standard answer all of the time that people stopped asking me, "How was my
Mhm.
weekend?" Because they knew what Tim Brewster was going to say. So
Yeah.
it was frustrating. It really was. Especially even knowing that I had the full capability, if not more than some of my brothers and sisters, right? Because I know my capabilities and I know what I can do and I know my worth. But sometimes I know that I have the full capability of pulling these same parts, issuing these same parts, right? Sourcing these same parts, right? Backward and putting away, receiving, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And support all those jets that were assigned to those air stations that I've been assigned to, right? Helping to send those aircraft into the air, just like you said earlier, you can't fly without supply, right?
That's
So that's
right.
what we were doing. And I knew that because of the fact that I was fully capable or more to do that, but yet I couldn't be myself. It
Mhm.
just really bothered me. It really did. But I had to put on my armor, of course, keep myself well posed because at the end of the day, I was not going to allow that policy to see me to the exit door. Because at the end of the day, I know that I was still really good at my job. And I know that I had a lot of worth to bring to the mission. So,
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was a policy just, steeped in discrimination, so it's really unfortunate that they thought that that was a good decision at the time. But you're married, so you've been married for how long?
well, we got married in November 2013. November 2013. 10 years this year.
You better you better get that down. Look,
But thank God. Yeah, 10
I got you. I got you.
years. And you had
But
the wonderful opportunity of meeting him, which I love.
yes, yes, he's amazing. So 10 years married, but you guys have known each other for a really long time. And obviously, it's been a part of, this, part of your military career too, because you guys met while you were in the military. So walk us through your story as it unfolds for that.
Sure. So we met in 2006. It was about a year and some, no, actually less than a year when I got after getting stationed at Travis Air Force Base. So I got there in 2005, met him in April 2006. So of course, meeting, how the dating thing goes, just meet, get to know each other and XYZ. But we made it official in February of 2007. Dating, I made it official. Him knowing what the policy is, knowing that he had to be, lack of better terms, a nobody to the military, right? While he had my back, supported me, right, for any TDYs deployments, which actually came a year and some change after we started living together. We started living together in '08, and then I deployed to Iraq in December '08. But
Yeah.
knowing that he had to stand in the background while his then boyfriend, but because obviously we weren't married then, but knowing that we had a commitment, we was in this thing, and knowing that he had my back, and knowing that he had no idea what could happen. Of course, he was, holding on to all of his faith and believing that I was going to come back home safely. But still, at the end of the day, it's a deployment and going into a war zone, right? So knowing that there's nothing that is connecting us to, if God forbid at the time anything would ever happen to me. And he's just basically in the background as a nobody, while having my full support while I'm going out there doing amazing things, just like my brothers and sisters that are heterosexual. So moving forward, and we got then here came, so obviously going through the years of relationship, and the Don't Ask Don't Tell got rescinded in September 2011. Although we know that the Obama administration, and one of his things on his platforms that he was mentioning that he'd like to do, that his goal is to repeal that. So of course, I'm just waiting impatiently, waiting for that to come, right? Since he went into office, I believe he elected '08, went into office '09. So of course, standing by, standing by. But I believe that it was going to come, and then it came. There it was in September 2011, and it was repealed. But one of the things I did not do, I didn't, and to each his own. Everybody handles it how they want to handle it. But what I didn't do is start running and telling with excitement my coworkers and anybody in my immediate environment, anything like that. I just continue to be the same Tim Brewster that they were. Now, if they were to ask out of an inquiry, and I trust, and they're coming with good intentions, then of course I'd answer the question. But I didn't just go on my own willingly to tell individuals, because at the end of the day, this was still a transition for the military, not just the Air Force, but for the military and the civilians. And there are individuals, I would just say it like this, I want to make sure I say it the right way, but there are individuals even back then that wasn't in support of that. So last thing I wanted to do is go and broadcast something that a lot of people, or however many people, didn't want to hear that. And I wasn't going to be received respectfully or gracefully. So therefore, I didn't want to put something on ears that didn't want to listen. So I stood by for individuals to come and seek if they had good intentions. And there wasn't that many people that did that. But I say for maybe a good, maybe 2-ish years, I still kept to myself on it, right? But in between those 2 years before, I kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna start saying husband or Eric or my boyfriend or things of that nature, right before we got married, so I can kind of start helping, myself and the military be like, hey, don't forget, this was repealed and this does exist. So in my own way, start kind of easing into starting to say things, but I had to still also kind of embrace that transition, trying to understand how I am going to, as an independent individual, gracefully walk into that new zone and be well received. So.
And then, so moving in that trajectory, you really stepped forward a precedence to lead first when it came to this basically new community in the military. So, what were some of the things that you started doing or changing? Because I know that there was a few things that you did do.
Oh wow. I think you even we'll get to that. I believe you're talking about RAF Middlehart, England. Some great things they did over there. But I will even say that one of the things, kind of rewind a little bit, going back to maybe 2012, maybe. There was an individual that really touched my heart that reached out to me. He heard by rumor that I was gay, am gay, and that I maybe even was in a relationship. And this was after DADT was rescinded, and you met him, or you possibly met him. He was at the dinner. He was he was sitting at the chief's table. His name was Marcus Jones. He was sitting by the current career field manager. He had a beard, a light complected individual. Bald head, I believe. Look back at the pictures, but he was back then. I think he was a master sergeant. And
Okay.
he had called me at my job one day out of nowhere. We kept in contact a little bit here and there, And then I picked up the phone. It's him. Like, hey, what's going on? You know, he's like, hey, Tim, how you doing? You know, we do the talk. And then he gets to it. He's like, hey, well, the reason I called you is because I don't do rumors, but I'm calling to find out if it's true. And if it is true, let me know, please. He was just anxiously wanting to celebrate me, right? And to be happy for me. But he didn't do rumors because, you know, people talk. It's
They do. Yeah.
human nature. But what I really appreciated that he reached out to me. He wanted to hear from me and celebrate me and say that he is sincerely happy
Mhm.
about what has happened in the military, DoD, right, and the support that I'm getting. And he just wanted to celebrate that with me over the phone. He was stationed at Hill Air Force Base. And what was very profound about that for me is that I literally realized that I was reached out by an individual that is geographically separated in Ohio, and I'm at California, but there are local individuals that didn't even take the time to even come and approach me to even say, hey, because people talk, I've heard, and congratulations.
Mhm.
But yet being very cordial or so-called my friend in my face. But him, geographically, however many miles away, and reached out to me to tell me that on the phone when people were literally in the same base environment that couldn't even look me in the eye and say anything about it. And some individuals would just acknowledge it by a pronoun. Oh, well, how are you? No, what are you both doing this weekend? Or oh, did he go with you or something like that? I'm like, oh, so you know, but you can't even acknowledge it or say I'm happy for you.
Mhm.
It's just that individual's way of, maybe they were uncomfortable. I don't know. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I know that that time, a lot of people was going through their transition on their own. But it would have really felt, I guess, even more warming for me if they're calling me their friend to have been like, you know what, I am sincerely happy for you. You know, we don't have to talk about it that much if you don't want to, but I want to let you know I'm happy for you. Oh, is it true? And I'm happy for you. Versus
Mhm.
kind of like after 12, 13, 15, 20 months, using a pronoun, bringing in my then boyfriend into a conversation. Oh, and you know, something simple like, oh, did you go to the movies? Or did he go with you or something like that? What are you looking for? So things like that. And, you know, I had to pay
Mhm.
attention to individuals and, you know, kind of like maybe question their intentions and definitely helped me to grow even furthermore as an individual to know what type of people that I want to be surrounded by, you know.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you want to surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up, not bring you down. And you made a good point when you were saying, it's the folks that are there that are not celebrating you. Why are they there? And why are they? They should be there when you're talking about, okay, hey, what did you do over the weekend, Tim? Well, I was just doing whatever. Well, now, we're fast forward and we're open. What did you do this weekend? Oh, I got married. Like when you got married, it, there's a lot of people that get married. The first thing is congratulations that comes off your lips normally. You
Exactly.
would think, but that doesn't
Exactly.
doesn't register, right? With
Exactly.
those people.
Right. And one of the individuals I'm thinking of right now that did that, that was after me getting married. And he knew I got married. One, he knew that I was in a relationship with the same sex and also knew that I got married. But just
Mm.
using him in a casual sentence, well, I've never really physically literally told you this is what the situation is. I never told you, but you heard about rumors, so I guess you're not just going to just casually have conversations with me without celebrating that for me, Tim. I've known you for a long time, since '07, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
I think it was '06. Even was my supervisor, but never could say anything. And it bothered me. It did. But I had to put on that, eventually grow into that tough skin, and grow
Yeah.
as a so it worked out for the best, I should say.
Yeah. And then you trailblazed into this,
Right.
what happened at Milden Hall.
Okay.
So
So
tell us about that because I think that was like so exciting for me, and it's like so exciting to hear you talk about it because I mean you get on fire about it because it's something pretty amazing. So tell us about that.
right. So when I got stationed at Mildenhall, we got stationed RAF, Royal Air Force Base, Mildenhall, United Kingdom. So we got there in February 2017. And while I was there, me being very heavily involved with this and that and things of that nature. And I remember what really had broke ground for me is that 1 month, well, leading up to the month, in 20, I think it was 18, they was looking for a POC to put together Pride Month. So, I'm like, you know what? This is a new time, and plus now here we are in the Air Force, and I love it. We're celebrating Pride Month. And it's like, why not me more than, why wouldn't I raise my hand and say, you know what? I'd like to do this. So I did it. And I knocked that all out of the ballpark. I did so many great things for that 1 month. Without getting into details of that, it's pretty much the traditional type things. The 5K, the color run, movie theater type things. Showing type of movies in support of the community. But towards the end of the year, there was another opportunity that came out from the wing commander, i.e., like for those listening that's not military affiliated, it's like base installation commander. And the lead enlisted individual had put out an email to the base asking who would like to be the next diversity and inclusion president. And I'm like, wow, that is really something interesting too. Of course, there's a huge weight, especially with already the job responsibilities that I had, and I knew that I couldn't let anything, fall to the wayside. So I stepped forward and I did it. I nominated myself. I put together a paragraph for the installation commander and enlisted individual, and they selected me to do it. So with that being said, what surrounds that as far as diversity and inclusion, it's a celebration of many different diversities, right? So we go from African American Black History Month. We have our Hispanic Heritage Month, our Women's History Month, XYZ, Asian Pacific, all the way through the calendar year, even our disabled individuals. So, but that was in I gotta get my year right, 2020. So for a lot of individuals, when they think of 2020, they think of many things. They think of COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be very creative for the ways that I was going to be able to celebrate, right, the diversities out there for each respective month. And also another thing that jumps out in a lot of people's minds that happened up in 2020 was the George Floyd situation. And over there, being geographically separated from the continental United States, right, we had a lot of individuals that were feeling away, right? And one of the things, I'll pause there and come back, one of the things that we did every year for the diversity and inclusion team, which, did things for the base, is we have a diversity and inclusion day every year, fully funded by the installation, right? But COVID kind of possibly mess that up, right? So it's like, will we have one? And one of the things I loved about my installation commander and also my installation senior listed leader, they were saying, you know what? Because of how everybody is feeling on this base, not even on the base, but around the world, obviously, especially in continental US, and we're over here, we're separated from it. We got individuals from all the way from E1 to whatever that are geographically separated, feeling ways, watching TV, watching the news, having phone calls from home, talking to home, and they're in the midst of, around, going to, whatever the case may be, about like different riots and things that are going on, or protests, being affected by riots, protests that unfortunately turn into riots, right? I'm obviously a nonviolent type of individual, and I would love protests that are in support of peace and nonviolence, of course. But unfortunately, there were individuals that stationed at the base that had friends and family that were back home that were in unfortunate situations because of what was going on back in the continental U.S. And they had felt that they had no voice. And they felt all kinds of ways while having no voice, but still had to go to work, still had to report in to do the job, having high expectations for the job, and don't fail. So one of the things that my base commander has said, you know what? I hear the people. And what we're going to do, we're going to still have this diversity and inclusion day. We're going to have it. And when he said that, oh, it warmed my heart so much. He threw me right into full throttle. I was ready to go. So he had me put it together like in 2 months, though. Something that typically gets planned within 6 months, about
Or
like
a year.
exactly. And it was going to happen in August, right? And he said, and he made his call because I believe the George Floyd situation happened in late May, maybe early June. And he said in June, we're doing it. And it's happening in August. He said, but before we do that, what I want you to do, Senior Brewster, is I want you to put together an event to let the people know that they have a place to come to and in support of them reflecting. So one of the things I had did is I had put together an event where it was at the baseball field, and it was for people to come, and they can come in civilian clothes. Do not come up in uniform. Because we weren't representing the military, we weren't representing DoD, and it was in support of them being able to do whatever they want as far as they can lay down, They could stand there, they could kneel on the ground, they could do whatever they want to, but we're going to stand there in silence for the same amount of time that the officer had his knee on George Floyd's neck. We had a counter right there, put together a stage. It had support systems all the way around the baseball field and the outer field. And I stood there and I let them know it's time to go. We're going to stand here for 8 minutes plus and think and reflect on what we can do as an individual. As an individual, what we can do in support of making the world a better place. Even our immediate environments, starting with our homes, right? Starting with our homes, our communities, our jobs, what we can do as an individual. Of course, we can't change the world. We know that. But what can we do as an individual, right? Even if it brings 0.5% of a change, at least that's a change. And I loved it. And then, of course, from there, went forward with putting together the Diversity and Inclusion Day. And wow, that was something to definitely be remembered. I would tell you that. Because one of the things that I did, and this was the commander's idea, the base commander, he said, I want a unity walk. I'm like, what's a unity walk? He said, I want you to have logistically figure it out, Tim Brewster. I want that flight line shut down, and I want everybody that's in attendance of this event to walk down that flight line in unity for Diversity and Inclusion Day. I was like, wow. So I did it. That was the first in the United States Air Force ever unity walk along a flight line, the airstrip. I had buses coming to drop people off. The way it happened for Diversity and Inclusion Day, right? I kind of map it out for you, give you a visual. We had 2 hangars. One hangar full of food. Other hangar, we had X amount, it was like maybe 15 plus of like performances with information booths all around the stage. But before any of that happened, what set my heart just skyrocketed before it even happened is that we all met outside of the hangars, right? At a certain time, it was like right when the sun was coming up. Seeing all these lines of cars, we had about like 3,000 people that attended.
Wow.
About 3,000 people to attend, right? And the thing that warmed my heart so much, of course, when you have anything you logistically put together, you want it to be able to, go off without a hitch, everything go well, you're a little nervous, oh my, it's all on me, and things like nature. So the first sign of like glory was seeing all the lines of cars. But the thing that warmed my heart the most, though, is when I saw them buses pull up to them hangars, all in uniform, lining up, and then they all started crowding to the buses. The buses took them down to the bottom of that airstrip, dropped them off, went back to pick up more, and just endless people walking up the airstrip in unity.
Do you guys have photos or video of that?
I got a few, but I was so logistically involved, I didn't get to take as many as I wanted to. But it was a beautiful thing. And then at the last bus with the last 4 people to walk it, we want to do this on always the last 4 to do it, to have a conversation, do it. It was the base commander, the senior enlisted leader, the vice base commander, and myself. And we walked it. We was the last 4 people walking it to conversate and reflect on how this day is getting started. And that was probably the most monumental event, situation, moment in my military career of something that I've ever done. That was just outstanding. And then of course that kicked it off. And then everything from there just went on beautifully, from the food to the events. It was outstanding. It was the best we've ever had, and the most people we've ever had showing up. While folks was, of course, understandably, including myself, was very, afraid. It was COVID.
COVID, yeah.
COVID. We was only like 6 months into it ish, right? Because it really started, I think, overseas late 2019, but the United States started to say, okay, we're in this thing too now, about like February-ish, if not January. And then we did this in June. I'm sorry, in August. It was an outstanding day. I'm telling you, that right there was something that really meant a lot to me. Knowing that it came together so beautifully, especially during COVID. People say COVID is not going to stop me, especially knowing how things were going on because of the unfortunate situation with George Floyd, all the racial disparities and people speaking up, feeling ways, environments at work. And then from that led to other things I had to put together. I had to put together sessions. I had to go through facilitator training because I was putting together sessions every Thursday for folks to come in the forum and freely talk about how they feel. I have went to different organizations. The wing commander had tasked me to go to different organizations to make it more convenient for individuals if they can't make it out to Thursday to have conversations with them in their environment at their job. It was a busy
Wow.
year, but it took a lot of energy, but it was all well worth it. And that right there, when I think back at that, it really warms my heart. It really does.
Well, it was definitely evoking change. Not, I mean, visually, but when you see somebody doing something and it's action, you know what I mean? You're putting that into action, and action is what people are looking for. And so, when you're doing it, people are more likely to be like, "Oh my gosh, okay,
Yeah,
it's here, it's real. Let's get on board. Let's go." So that's
yeah.
awesome. So what is the one thing that you wish you can go back and change from the early days?
Ooh. The one thing that I wish I can go back to change from the early days.
Mhm.
This is pre-DADT, pre-Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Um, okay, I know. It has nothing really. Well, okay, it maybe has some influence on it, but still, I wish I would not have allowed so many individuals to take advantage of me. Because I'm a hard worker. I am very sincere and passionate about the product that I can bring to the table.
Mhm.
And there were individuals that knew my quality and work and know that I'm a very kind, very generous, not so much outspoken back then individual. And I was utilized, I feel, to the point that it shouldn't have been, I was walked over, taken advantage of, and never really received I feel the acknowledgement or the um, award, if you will, given the gratitude. It was just more taken advantage of. I didn't allow myself to have a voice because I felt that my voice was wasn't relevant. You
It
know,
would fall on deaf ears given the time,
right?
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I started saying don't have anything. I'm like, well, actually, there was some influence there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I would have been more. You know what? I don't care, and no, you're not going to take advantage of me.
Mhm.
Respectfully, tactfully to present that. Of course, I mean that goes all the way up to even NCO days. Like I'm not talking about just Airman Basic E1, E2, E3. I get it,
Mhm.
but NCO, there's a point in time he's like, okay, you know what? You need to put your foot down respectfully, tactfully, professionally, right?
Mhm.
And let an individual know, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not doing that. I see what you're trying to do by taking advantage of my kindness, my work ethic, and putting things together. No, because I have literally been taken advantage of as far as because I'm such a passionate, hard worker, kind, and quiet back then. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
grew to, I definitely evolved over time. I have really evolved. If I was the same individual like I was back then, I definitely wouldn't put together that diversity and inclusion day, DNI president, right?
You wouldn't raise your hand. You
Nope.
wouldn't raise your hand to be like, "I'll volunteer. I'll go ahead and spearhead this effort that nobody's ever done before."
Hmm. No,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have done it. But yes, I just wish I was
Awesome.
more outspoken. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for telling us your story. It's such a beautiful one. I love it. And I love you. I love
Uh,
both you and Eric. You guys are amazing. I love it. But is there anything else that you'd like to add?
well, first I want to say thank you again for allowing me this opportunity to come on here. What you're doing is awesome. I really do appreciate this. And I'm sure there's so many individuals that are listening to this, no matter what subject matter you have, because I'm sure that each and every subject matter you have is relevant, right? And I'm sure that it is successful and appreciative and garnering all kinds of greatness on the other end in individuals' lives. So I want to say thank you for that. And for the folks out there
Appreciate it.
listening, if you are of the community, I would just say that, you know what, hopefully something I said up in my story touches your heart. And even if it's just a little bit, 0.5, 2%, 3%, whatever the case may be, moving forward in life. And if you're not in the community, I want to thank individuals that are supportive of the community. Because one of the things that I did help to put together over there, first time breaking ground, I forgot to mention, was the first LGBTQ, um, uh, I'm trying to say private organization over in RAF Middlehall.
Mhm.
But one of the things that we had put on there wasn't just LGBTQ, it was LGBTQ plus allies. And that's the key.
Ah.
private organization.
Very cool. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Again, you mastermind right here. And you guys, this guy has been in my life for so long. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you.
And I'm proud of you too, Kai. You have definitely been doing great things. When you had cross trained over to the, let me get it right, radio, television, broadcasting, right?
Yes.
I want to make sure I say it right. I was just like, darn it, she's leaving supply, but she's doing
Yeah,
great.
I'm like, I'm out.
But I knew you was doing great things. I saw you out there doing your thing at AFN. Kai, you are an awesome individual, beautiful soul, and I appreciate you just as much, if not more.
Oh, no, that's not possible. But anyway, before I let you go, I always like to have a just for fun speed round with all of my guests. Are you ready to go?
Ready? Let's go.
All right. What's your favorite downtime activity?
Favorite downtime activity, I would say backyard projects or don't judge me, washing the car.
Oh no, that's actually like, so no, that's actually relaxing. It really is because when you're done, I mean, you're just like, oh, baby girl looks so good.
Yes, exactly. You know, you know.
I do, I do. So we're in the midst of the summer heat here in frickin' Texas. So would you rather be in the heat of Texas or the freezing temperatures of, I'm going to say Washington State, because my son, as you know, Chance, was just posting pictures of 38-degree weather up in Mount Rainier in full snow. So which one?
I would have to go with this full Texas heat. Although we're 100 plus right now, give it to me. I don't care. At the end of the day, you can get up early
Yes.
or go back outside when the sun starts going down, kind of like in a few hours ish, and still
Yeah.
enjoy. But over there, when you get that negatives and low temperatures like chances going through, you're just staying away from it all day around.
Yeah. Well, he's not. He loves it, but I don't. I'm with you. So would you rather, where would you go in the world if money was not an issue?
Ooh, where would I go? I've been so many places, honestly. Where would I?
The beauty of the military. We've been to so many places.
And you know what? First thing comes to mind, I honestly would love to go back to Japan.
Oh, yeah. Talk about heat, but that's humid heat. Ooh.
I love to go back to
Yeah.
yeah, Japan.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I can get Juan to Japan because he's never been, and I would love to go back to Tokyo too. It's been such a long time.
Oh wow. I've been twice since leaving. Left in '99, went back in 2000, went back in 2022. But as you can see, that's like what 21 years ago. So
Yeah, it's a
but
long
the
time.
technology now, it was already popping back then. So you know, in 2023, Kai, you know the technology is on point right now.
I
So
can't even imagine. Like I can't because yeah, in the 90s it was ridiculous. And I had such short story. Let me digress just for a little bit. Coming
uh,
back to the US after being in Japan, or no, it wasn't coming back to the US. I actually went to Italy. So Japan to Italy. I go to Italy and I'm like, yeah, do you guys have a the what did you call the cell phone? There's a specific cell phone in Japan that was for the underground or mountains or whatever, so that you would always have cell service. And it was this, I forgot what it's called now, but it was this specific type of phone. And so they're like, yeah, no, we don't have that phone here. We just have regular phones. And I'm like, oh, so if I go up the mountain or I'm down in the subway, I'm not going to get service. No, you're not going to get service. You'll never get service. And I was like, dang. It
that
was
is
nuts. Yeah, they had like all the gadgets that could do everything. So it was super cool.
the '90s. We over here in the states. When I obviously left the states in '97, and getting over there, I'm like, this is digital like world over here. You go into cell phone
Mhm.
stores, all wrapped around the store of cell phones, and it had digital screens even back then. While over here in the states back in the '90s, we were working with the big brick phones or pagers. You know, I'm like, over here in a cell phone.
Blackberry.
I still got my cell phone. It was Docomo, the carrier. I still got. I was going through stuff the other day. I still got this cell phone. I kept it just for keepsake purposes. A little skinny.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I
But
wish I would
yeah,
have kept mine. Oh my gosh. Okay, so last question, beach or lake?
beach.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Love you. Love
Love you.
Eric. I hope I get to see both of you guys here soon. I
Yeah,
don't know
definitely work
when,
something
but
out. We'll work something out. You take care. Tell Juan I say what's up.
I
And
will. I will.
all right,
And
guys.
cheers to everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all next week. Take care.
All right.